The Utah economy finds itself in an interesting position. There are a number of areas in which the state is a leader in the nation. For example, the state unemployment number is well below the national average. We've seen growth over the past year in Utah. And earlier this month, Forbes magazine named us tops in business and careers. On the other hand, over 100,000 Utahns are still out of work, and while economists have declared the Great Recession officially over, its effects are still felt by many. Natalie Gochnour is the chief economist of the Salt Lake Chamber. She joins us today to discuss the Utah economy. Natalie, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Marty.
I think we'll start today by talking about some of the highlights. Let's start on a positive note. What are some of the reasons that we can say, yes, this recession is over and things are looking up?
Well, nationally, they declared the recession over in June of '09. So even though people have a hard time believing it, we've been out of recession for over a year. It's one of these recessions that people call a jobless recovery. We're having a difficult time finding the good news into actual hiring, hence 100,000 unemployed Utahns. But the good news, Utah's one of a handful of states that's doing much better than the national average. Our unemployment rate's lower. Our job growth is about 4 times the national average right now. We are growing about 0.8%. We have a whole bunch of what I would call tailwinds, things that are propelling us into better times.
I think we talk a little bit about that lag in public perception of the recession being over. What does it take, do you think, to get people to feel confident? When do we hit that point? What's the indicator that's going to have businesses say, now I'm ready to hire?
The main thing you want to see is business has to become profitable. It's through profits that businesses are able to hire and purchase again. Once they hire, people are able to make wages. Then they're able to spend. Then they feel better about the economy. And once they start spending better, businesses become more profitable, and then they can hire, and what we think of as the virtuous circle continues.
And I think in Utah we've done certainly a better job in a number of areas than other states. The statistics would indicate that, but also just in controlling that economic narrative that there is good news, trying to push that good news out. And this comes, I think, in part by people trying to share the good news, but also that you see companies coming to Utah, like Twitter, and building a new the new NSA data center, and bringing Goldman Sachs to town. That kind of momentum builds on itself. Do you see that we're about to that tipping point where people are starting to realize there's a lot of good going on here, and maybe we're the exception?
Right. Well, I think that there's been a lot of good news that's come out about our state in the last 18 to 24 months, not the least of which was the University of Utah being accepted into the Pac-12. That's a tipping point of sorts. That's a new Utah, if you will. But we've also had a lot of other good things happen in our state. A lot of national recognition in big-time magazines and newspaper articles. I'd also highlight these marquee expansions that you've mentioned. Royal Bank of Scotland picked Utah. Goldman Sachs picked Utah. eBay, Adobe, they want to be in Utah. So you have to ask yourself, why are they picking Utah? What is it that's speaking to them? Well, we have low business costs. We're a very business-friendly state. We have a terrific workforce that we're very proud of, and we have an enviable quality of life, a great transportation infrastructure, and I think a very solid state government, local government leadership. So business leaders, they want to live in a great place. We have it. They have to have the numbers crunch. They have to have a good bottom line. Our low business costs help get them there. And they want to see a government that's responsive to business, and we have all of that here in our state. You
list a number of things that are positives for Utah, reasons for optimism. There are a number of what you would call headwinds as well, some things that are challenges that where Utah is not unlike the rest of the nation. What are some of those things that are big challenges for the state over, say, the next year or two as we continue to work our way out of this?
Well, so I would say that the biggest challenge is a national economy that can't seem to find its way. And as long as the national economy is jobless in its recovery and sluggish, that will affect us. We're very tied to our national counterparts. So then the question is, why is the national economy struggling? Well, we have a crisis of confidence. People have just been through the longest, deepest, broadest recession in their lifetime. I want to just emphasize that, longest, 18 months. We've not had that since the Great Depression, that long of a downturn. Deepest, the severity of this recession is unlike any we've ever seen in 70 years. And broadest, it's affected every single industry, every single state, every region of our country. So when you've been through that kind of economic turmoil, there is a crisis of confidence. So right now, people are making money and they're saving it. They're not spending it. We need people to feel better about the economy. They need to spend their money. And we also need some good things to fall in line. You can't have a European debt crisis. You can't have stock market volatility. You've got to get those things back in line so that we can sort of propel this recovery.
Looking ahead to the future, one of the things that you've advocated is you're leaning towards patience over policy, that maybe we've done what we can to fix this and now we just have to let it normalize. Is that the route that you would still advocate, that maybe we've done what we can do and now we're just riding it out?
When you've been through this kind of a downturn, it does require patience. It's going to take a lot of time to regain the level of economic performance, productivity that we were used to. So I use the term, patience over panic and patience over policy. We're to the point where our national bank, our federal government, our state government, they've done all the right things to get us where we need to be, and now we just need to be patient and pay attention to our fundamentals: infrastructure, education, business-friendly taxes and regulations. And with time, markets always correct. This market is on the right path. Utah's had nearly 14 months of consistent improvement. The recession is over, and I have measured optimism that we're on our way to much better times.
Natalie Gochnour, Chief Economist for the Salt Lake Chamber, thanks very much for your time.
My pleasure, Marty.